Hey guys, it's Kevin again. Happy Memorial Day to all of you. Hope you're all having a great Memorial Day. And because it's Memorial Day, I am going to be doing another classic movie review. And I figured that since it's, Memorial Day, I should do a special one because Memorial Day is the day where we honor the dead soldiers. So I figured, okay, I have to review some sort of military movie. Now, this movie I'm going to be reviewing, I wanted to review this on 4th of July, but I'm like, no, this is the ultimate movie to review for Memorial Day. If I review this, there's no other movie I should review for Memorial Day but this one. And that movie is none other than a true classic, the 1979 epic war drama classic, Apocalypse Now. Yes, finally I've seen Apocalypse Now. I wanted to watch this movie last year. I never got a chance to. And finally, I have seen Apocalypse Now, and I'm so happy that I finally watched it. I've always been very interested in this movie. I've heard from many people that this is considered the greatest war movie of all time, and that it's very relatable, and I'm just like, well, Saving Private Ryan was so good, how can this be better than that? Oh my god, this was so much better than that, guys. Seriously. Apocalypse Now is a true classic. It is by far the greatest war film I've ever seen. And there's so many reasons why I love this movie as much as I do. That one of the things I love about Apocalypse Now in general is the plot. It's so simple, but yet there's so much more to the movie than just the plot. Because the plot is literally very, very simple. Because we have this war veteran basically during the Vietnam War. It takes place in 1969 during the Vietnam War. We have this man, Benjamin L. Willard, who he is a war veteran basically. He is a veteran of the U.S. Army. He basically is told that there is this man named Colonel Walter E. Kurtz basically. Now he's basically gone insane and basically now commands his own troops inside neutral Cambodia, and basically thinks it was all like this huge god and everything. So basically, his men basically assess him to basically assassinate the colonel, find him, and basically stop him from doing what he needs to do. So that's the central plot of this movie. This movie is a lot more than that to it, and that's one of the things I love the movie, is how simple the plot is, because you wouldn't expect this movie to be nearly as complicated as it is, and it is very, very complicated. There are many reasons why this movie is so good. For one reason alone is just the cast in this movie. The acting in this movie is so damn good, I have to say. Honestly, everyone in this movie gives an amazing performance. I think everyone does a great job, and the thing I love about this movie in general, before I get to the actual acting, is that this is a movie that is relatable to everyone, because these characters are not just characters. You don't really see just war, people fighting in a war. You see human beings who are dealing with this war, how it is affecting them internally and externally as well. You see that. You see the conflicts that they're going through, and you don't just see, like, characters in a movie. You see actual war heroes, and I definitely really love that about the movie, for one. First of all, Martin Sheen as Captain Benjamin L. Willard is perfect in this role. First of all, he narrates the entire movie. He basically is our eyes and ears throughout the whole movie. He does a fantastic job. You really see the pain he's going through. He's not really sure if he should do this. I mean, he really is very worried about assassinating this colonel. He doesn't know if it's the right thing to do. He knows he has to do this, but along the way, he has a lot of obstacles along his way. Some people don't really trust him. He is not very well respected, and I really liked about his character. I liked how wounded his character was, definitely. There's some great scenes where he has these really, big dream sequences. It really shows how crazy war can get and how much, like, this can affect you. I definitely loved his character. I thought he did a really good job with that. Marlon Brando is barely in this movie. He's in, I'd say, maybe 20 minutes of this movie altogether, and this movie is very long. But he does a fantastic job as the colonel. He has this amazing... The reason I think he is second billing in the cast, for one, he went under a lot of stress for this movie. I mean, he had to go through a lot in this movie. I don't really want to get into it, but Marlon Brando in this movie is amazing. Obviously, he has this one speech that is just so memorable, and I thought he did a fantastic job in this movie. Seriously, he is one to look. He's fantastic. And every movie he's fantastic, but he's great as well. And one of the things I love about Marlon Brando is that he's in 20 minutes of this movie, but he is one of the most memorable things about this movie. That just shows how great of an actor Marlon Brando really is. And also his character is the main villain in the movie, but I like that we don't really get to see him till 20 minutes in, and we really see how powerful he's become. And while you want things to go well, you know that he just has to die. He's just become so crazy. He perfectly shows what happens when someone gets PTSD and when they're in the war too long and it affects them. And this really shows it very well. I thought he did a fantastic job in his role, and he was just great. Robert Duvall is really good in this movie. He's always great. I really want to talk about I really want to talk about who Frederick Forrest as Chief. Basically, now he basically no, Albert Hall, actually, Albert Hall. He actually, the thing I love about Chief's character is that he really doesn't trust, he really doesn't he clashes with Benjamin a lot, and you really see the clashing between them. That's something I definitely loved this movie, is seeing the drama that they're all going through. I mean, they're not like a great like bunch of, they're not a whole bunch of friends throughout this movie. There's a lot of drama going on with them. Some of them don't trust each other as much. Some of them just are a lot less confident about this, and I really like seeing that. The bonding between all these characters, that's one of the things that makes this movie so good, is the bonding between all of them. Something I definitely thought was really good, and I thought just worked out perfectly, I have to say. The directing by Francis Ford Coppola, I mean, obviously it's fantastic. Francis Ford Coppola always does fantastic directing. I think the only movie he didn't do well was Jack, and I heard that movie's even, he did a good job with that. His directing obviously is fantastic. The thing about his directing here, though, is that it's not directed like your typical war movie, because there are a lot of action scenes in this movie, but it's definitely more of a psychological, war movie, in that it really shows the true trauma of what you go through in a war and how hard it is to go into war. Something I love about Francis Ford Coppola, he directed this movie. When you watch this movie, you're gonna never want to go to war. Like, you watch this movie, no, never go to war. Like, you're never gonna want to let that happen. You never want to let that happen again. It really just shows how crazy the world can go when it turns to war. I mean, we don't really realize how crazy things can go. I really love the way that Francis Ford Coppola directed it. It really was perfect directing, I have to say. And I wouldn't have thought, I can't really think of any better way for him to direct it. Really, that's the best way to sum it up, is that he just directed it to perfection. Really, he did. Um, the writing is so sharp to this movie. It doesn't feel like just dialogue written for a movie. It feels like just natural soldiers talking and how they all are affected by this. And I definitely love seeing the writing. One of the best parts of this movie by far is the narration. The narration really shows the transformation, not only of Benjamin, but just of this war altogether and the toll that it takes on him. And I definitely really love that about the movie. One of the best parts by far is the screenplay. Some of you don't think you guys know. There's a lot of action in this movie. There is. But there's a lot of dialogue. And it's very dialogue heavy, and I really did love how dialogue heavy this movie was, because it really just shows the bonding between all these soldiers, what they have to go through, and how, what they're obviously going to talk about. I definitely really like seeing that happen. I mean, their dialogue was just really, really good, and I definitely really enjoyed that. And I just thought, I thought it was really well done, definitely. The cinematography in this movie, oh my god, some of the best cinematography I think ever, honestly. This is some of the best cinematography I've ever seen. It's such just... imagine, it's not just even like visually stunning, it literally puts you into the world of a war. I mean, every bad like place you can think of they go to. There's a time where they go to the desert. There's this time where they go to this really bad place that everyone gets killed in. I mean, it's just crazy throughout this movie. I thought the cinematography was beautifully handled, because that's something I absolutely loved about the movie, was the cinematography. I think cinematography was just perfect, definitely. I absolutely love the cinematography. It really makes it really is its own character in this movie. This is one of those movies where it really is its own character, and I love that about the movie by far. The editing is perfect. This movie really does fly by. It never feels nearly as long as it is, and I love that. This movie truly has some very uncomfortable scenes. Something I definitely want to talk about are the action sequences. Again, there are not a whole ton of them, but they're very, very long. The reason they're not a lot is because they're very long action sequences. There are like 40-minute action sequences in this movie. But it's never just like, it's not like Michael Bay action where it's just like, like, where it's like so overwhelming. It's not like that either. It's just showing how realistic it works again. I mean, you could just be talking and a war could break out. That's how crazy it is in this movie. I love the way they handled that, definitely. It really just showed how crazy things get. And again, there are some truly uncomfortable, very hard scenes to watch in this movie. And I thought that was very well done, I have to say. Definitely something I really loved was seeing just how uncomfortable this was for all of them, and seeing the real struggle they had to go through. I think it's something that really, I don't think we really think about when we think of war. I mean, I think we think of war as just something that they have to go through. Yeah, it's hard for them to go through, but it really shows. I mean, they have to go through a lot in this movie, and I definitely really love that as well. Also, the score to this movie is so awesome. I mean, one of the things about the score is that it also is its own character. When there's crazy action going on, there's no score, but most of the score is actually from The Doors, and it really adds the psychological part of this movie. There are some very trippy scenes in this movie, but it's because of the because it's how long they've been in this war, and how it's starting to make all of them go crazy. I mean, by the end of the movie, pretty much every single one of them is just, they're nuts. They're not normal. They're crazy. And this is one of the reasons why people didn't really like American Sniper. People do compare this movie to American Sniper, and I can kind of see why. I'm not saying the American Sniper didn't deal with PTSD well, but this movie definitely dealt with it a lot better than American Sniper ever will, and I think it's just because of the way the movie was made. I mean, it really just shows the realistic portrayal of war. It's exactly what how a war movie should handle war. A war movie should never handle war as this big Hollywoodized thing. No, the way war is handled in this movie, that is how war should be portrayed. And the ending to this movie truly is very devastating. It's very devastating, and I really did feel bad for what happened at the end of this movie. I definitely really did love that. The movie doesn't end on a happy ending either. I liked that this movie, also something else I love about the movie is that everyone wasn't afraid to go into truly dark territory. Because sometimes with these war movies, they'll be like really uplifting and like have a really uplifting ending and seeing the soldiers come home. No, this movie does not have an uplifting ending. This just shows the true darkness of being in a war and what it does to you and how it affects you emotionally, internally, externally. It even affects your like thinking. You think differently. You don't think while you're in war. I mean, you're thinking, you don't think as well. Like picture yourself in a war. If someone's like shooting, you're not gonna think, you're gonna shoot them. That's what you're gonna do. And you don't really think about it, but you have to basically be in the war to experience it. And I thought they did a very good job with that. Because this movie is more than just a movie. It is an experience. And it's not just the greatest war film of all time. It is one of the greatest movies of all time. Because there's not really a movie that portrays war like this one does. I can't really describe it. It just portrays war in this just really dark way, and I love that the way the movie did that, and the way the movie ends is very memorable. There are so many memorable scenes in this movie. There's so many. It's a very quotable movie as well. I mean, everyone knows the line. Everyone pretty much knows the line. That's basically what's the line? Where's the line? I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Everyone knows that line. I mean, that's something that everyone knows, and it really just goes with the this movie, how this movie is, how psychological it is, and it's not your typical war movie either. That's something else I love, is how it deals with it psychologically, and that's something I thought was great about the movie. So overall, guys, I highly recommend you guys check out Apocalypse. Now, I would talk about the ending to this movie, but I really don't want to. I think it is best if you go into this movie not knowing that much about it, and definitely, I highly recommend you guys check it out. And don't think that it's a boring, like, 70s movie. It's hard to understand, but if you guys really, like, pay attention to it, I think it's pretty easy to understand. So that's basically my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you all have a great Memorial Day. Let me know what you guys think of this movie you have seen. I know all of you are going to be very happy to watch this movie. It's still not my favorite classic movie I reviewed. That would still be All That Jazz. It definitely is my second favorite. I absolutely love this movie. Highly recommend you guys check it out. That's my review. Hope you guys enjoy it. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for Penny Dreadful, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.